Secretary Walsh, I want to thank you for your patience, and I also want to take this opportunity to thank you for your visit to Northwest Indiana, where we advocated for the bipartisan infrastructure bill, along with the steel industry, along with the United Steelworkers. That being said, I also want to take this opportunity to advocate my strong support for the Section 232 policies in order to protect our steel industry from overcapacity and all the downstream industries within my district of Northwest Indiana. That being said, there's been an increase in reshoring of domestic manufacturing in the United States. I just want to give you an opportunity to be able to talk about the Bipartisan Innovation Act and the value of that to the workforces for the future.
Yeah, I think that a lot has been discussed here today. We've talked about inflation several times. We've talked about workforce development several times. We've talked about issues around training and workforce development and job training, apprenticeships. And the opportunity in front of us with the Bipartisan Innovation Act is really about bringing real, strong manufacturing jobs back to America. We invented the chip. We invented the computer chip and everything that we have, the computer, the TV in front of me, the two phones in my pocket, the iPads in my desk, all of that stuff needs computer chips, the cars we drive, everything we have. And we don't create them in America. And the Bipartisan Innovation Act would allow us the opportunity to create these computer chips back where we invented them, so why not build them here in America? It would help us, not with inflation today, but long-term would help us with inflation. Creating pathways into good jobs in Indiana and Michigan and Wisconsin, all these places that Iowa, all these different Congress people that we hear today, Virginia, talking about their industry. Every one of those cities, including Massachusetts, has a part of the state that is not the same as it was 50 years ago because the manufacturing base left. We have such an opportunity to bring back good jobs, manufacturing back to the United States of America. The Bipartisan Innovation Act is probably, I would argue, I might get myself in trouble for saying this, this potentially is bigger than the infrastructure bill that was passed by this Congress this year, because you're talking about long-term. We'll build new roads, new bridges, clean drinking water, broadband, but we're talking about creating a pathway for good-paying jobs in communities all across America, but we're also talking about being less reliant on foreign imports.
Can't agree with you more. Have been advocating for the Innovation Act consistently with those same thought processes, and to even create the ecosystem. As I talked about, Gary, Indiana produces steel. Car manufacturers, they wait for those chips. They wait for those semiconductors. And when they stop production, those workers stop working in my community, then the steel workers stop working. That's why I have been advocating for that bill from the very beginning and then for the future. I want to be at the seat at the table to make sure that Indiana, Northwest Indiana, is one of those innovation hubs, creating the next future job for the next future generations. I also have a next question about whistleblowers, if I could. Secretary, Congress and the public have benefited from whistleblower testimony. In fact, a study that has found that whistleblowing is highly effective at detecting improper and illegal activity, and that whistleblowers were responsible for 43% of the fraud detection. The voice of whistleblowers has led to improved safety in the workplace protection of workers' rights and helped improve the dignity of work. However, whistleblowers to the Federal Trade Commission, the FTC, are not protected from retaliation and therefore take their information to the Securities and Exchange Commission rather than the FTC. Regrettably, whistleblowers from private companies are not protected by the SEC and currently have no protections. My question is, would the Department of Labor review the FTC Whistleblower Act of 2021, which creates a right of action for whistleblowers to have suffered retaliation for disclosing a violation of any law, rule, regulation, or order enforced by the Federal Trade Commission?
Yeah, my answer to that is let me look into see what jurisdiction we have, what we can do as a department. I'm not aware of it at the moment. I know somebody's scrambling behind me to try and get me a paper right now, but let me get back to you on that one.
I thank you very much. I appreciate what you're doing, and again, let's work together as we have in the past to make sure working men and women have a future and an opportunity to provide for their families.
And you brought up Gary, Indiana, Working Families Diner, great burgers in there.
Absolutely. Thank you, sir.